Are we all American or all Canadian this week? You'll find out on this week's episode of the Indie Ball Report podcast. Back again, episode number 263 of the Indie Ball Report podcast. This is an acceptable show, as some would say. Others may even say it's a good show. I don't know any of those people, but certainly some would say that. Wouldn't you say, Ryan?
I mean, I wouldn't say it, but I would say some people would.
See, and that's really all we're looking for here. So realistically, we may have to alter our plans for the week because we were planning on discussing actual baseball. And I think for the first time this offseason, we do not have much.
Yeah, we finally have run out of content for the offseason just in time for the preseason.
Exactly. So, I mean, it kind of worked itself out.
Sure.
We don't really have any sort of a Chicago update this week. We don't have much in the way of news. In fact, all we have is one piece about Winnipeg upgrading their ballpark. And then we have an American Association West review. So this may be a quick week after a nearly 3-hour-long week. So
yeah,
I guess it kind of levels itself off.
The listeners have done their time.
They like longer shows. I don't understand what these psychos see in this program, but I'm grateful that they do see it.
I very much appreciate being a part of a show with a group of loyal listeners who are so genuinely unwell. It makes me happy.
Just called everyone a degenerate.
Less alone. Hey, man, takes one to know one.
So yeah, I guess we should actually start to talk about what little news we have before we have to alter the plan and start talking about Shogun, which I can absolutely do because it is a lovely show and I would highly recommend it. But I think
this show with Japanese main characters, some mysteries, some centrifuge, some betrayal. Is this Shogun intrigue? Or is this the Los Angeles Dodgers?
Well, luckily there wasn't any legal sports betting or illegal sports betting in the time of feudal Japan, so.
I mean, I got a gut feeling there's some gambling going on.
I don't have any way to segue that. Let's just go right into the Gold Eyes.
Oh my God. No, I was seeing where you're going. I was down for the ride and I was like, oh, okay, we're not. This plane is not landing. This Boeing's hitting flush. Got it. I'm bringing a lot of topical content today, and you're welcome.
So the Gold Eyes. Winnipeg has upgraded their ballpark. They're going to put in a 201 square meter, or if you're an American,
Ew,
dude.
Metrics,
they're disgusting.
Gross.
Get rid of them.
We didn't win all those wars for nothing, and then lose a couple. But who's checking the record?
No, those weren't
war reference.
Those were never. They were never officially declared wars. One was a police action.
Declared over.
One was a police action. One was a military conflict, and one was an intervention. Those aren't losses if they're not counted as games.
And much like in my own family, those interventions ended with a lot of gunfire.
Any case, in American units, it would be 2,160 square feet. This is a Daktronic video board, so this is a pretty big video board.
It's a big one.
It's basically the size of an apartment. Hell, you could put someone on this video board and make them pay you like, I don't know, $1,800 a month in rent.
What is that in real money? Are we talking Canadian money?
Oh, no, I was giving you the American.
Oh, are we talking loonies and toonies? Check that out.
So it's already.
You're fine. Winnipeg, we're fine. It's just Canada so tiring. Sure as he's great.
In addition to their giant video board, there's also 2 new group patio areas, one seating 90 people, another one seating 110. There is tavern-styled seating, which is, other words, high-top tables. And there's also going to be a new TrackMan system and additional hospitality areas. I don't know about you, but I'm just going to say, I guess this is all positive because big video board, cool, and more group mingling spaces, cool.
Big TV, good. Big area party, good.
Oh, God. So, what are your thoughts on the Goldeye areas?
Cool. I mean, upgrades are always good. Like seeing that like money is being put back in from, fan money is being put back into fan experience. It's always a win. Always going to be supportive of that. Beyond that, nothing too wild. I mean, it's not like anything not said it's not state of the art. That sounds bad. It's like nothing that's like, oh, haven't seen that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I do like the more open space areas. I think that's a positive. I know personally I have a hard time sitting still for, I guess, upwards of 2 hours at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen the podcast.
Yeah. So to be able to get up and move around would be nice.
And still see the game. Yeah, I hate a close concourse.
Yeah, so that's definitely a positive on that front. I do think they got rid of some seating, though, to make this happen, which I also think is a net positive, too. I think nowadays you don't need large seating areas. I think generally, if you're going to have 2,000 people in a 2,500 seat stadium or 2,000 people in a 4,000 seat stadium, I'd rather have the 25,000 seat one, just because it makes it, the whole vibe around the ballpark feels better, right? When half the thing's empty, the vibes are off. You can hear more things going on. Plus, obviously, maintenance and practical expenses are higher with a bigger ballpark, too. But just from a fan enjoyment standard, I feel like having a smaller, I'll use the realtor term, of more intimate setting, it just does better for the overall experience.
Yes. Let me see here. All right. I'm just checking this thing out, confirming something before I get too far out of hand here. And Control F. Okay. I mean, Winnipeg did have, so think about this. Winnipeg had the 8th best attendance of any team in Indy ball.
Ooh.
They had an average of 3,600 people. That's still half filling that ballpark. There's just no need for more than 5,000 seats in a ballpark anymore.
Yeah.
Not like at this level, obviously.
Because think about it, like how many days are you getting that 5,000? Like maybe 5? Right.
And as long as those areas that you're freeing up do have the, room for added people, then even if it's like, oh, but the games we do sell out, we're going to cost ourselves money because we have less seats, you'll be fine. You'll get them into the, open areas that you've now created, in my opinion. It's not for every ballpark, but most ballparks you'll be okay.
That, and also if these open areas do more to create a better experience while you're there, then it's a net positive because you'll get more people to come back.
And I get it is a leap of faith because it's, if you add a new seating area, you spend X number of dollars, but it adds X number of seats, which then will chip away at the money you spent over time. If you're not putting in any seats, it's tough sometimes to be like, okay, we're spending money for this, but where is the additional revenue coming back from? But it will come in better experience and more people coming back, ideally. So, anyway.
So, do we have anything else to say on Winnipeg or, I guess, stadium renovations in general?
No, not really. Gotta be honest. I don't need to. I can go down the rabbit hole, but I feel like that's an unwise use of our time today. So, I will allow it to settle for another time.
Okay. Because all we have left to do is just
really cute.
Yeah, all we have left to really do is talk about the American Association West.
Yeah, I mean, trying to think. Yeah, you just said nothing else. Let's get after it, man. Look at us, right to it. Right to it.
So the American Association West broke down like this. Kansas City won the division 59-40. Then Sioux City came in second, 52-48. Sioux Falls, identical record, came in third. Fargo not far behind at 51-49. And then the two non-playoff teams were Lincoln at 48-52 and Winnipeg at 43-57. In case you're wondering, that is 6 fewer wins for Kansas City from last year, 3 more wins for the Explorers from last year. A huge boom for the Canaries. They added 19 wins onto their total in 2023 from 2022. The Redhawks saw a similar regression in that they lost 13 more games in 23 than 22. Lincoln, practically speaking, the same. They won one fewer game, it would appear. And Winnipeg, they lost 10 more games. So make of that what you will. Kansas City, Sioux Falls, and Fargo all made the postseason, with Kansas City being the team that would represent the West in the Miles Wolf Cup. They won that in 4 games over the Chicago Dogs. That's your general overview. So what are your thoughts on the American Association West? We have a breakdown, a little bit of each team here. I guess we'll cover everybody. And as per usual on this, you'll ask, how do you want to do this? And then I'll go, I don't know, just free ball it. So free ball it.
I don't even know what that question was. I lost track of it. Probably around the time you said that we're free balling. Are we starting a specific team or? Stop it. Damn it.
Don't make me tap the sign. Take it whatever direction you want to take it. There is no rhyme or reason for this. This is the 4th one of these we've done. You know, there's no sort of order or structure to this.
Okay. Okay. So let me think about this. I'm trying to think of the best way to go about it. And by the best, I mean the way it's going to go, and it is what it is. I'm thinking, let's go bottom up.
Hell, why not?
Back to Winnipeg. Winnipeg heavy first half of the episode. Good for y'all.
Yeah.
What were your Winnipeg thoughts off the bat here?
You can see Greg Taggart's influence on this team.
Jesus, dude.
I'm coming out shooting because, like, come on.
Jesus. All right.
I'm just saying, this was a bad pitching team. This was a bad hitting team. There was notable regression, and I'm not going to say the whole roster stayed intact because it didn't, but a lot of the key pieces stayed, right? When you look at it from 22 to 23. And we're going to say that there was that much regression from the roster, from the guys on there that would justify a 10-win drop-off. Like, yeah, that's dude, a tough sell.
It's a pretty tough drop, huh? Jesus. Yeah. I didn't expect to go that direction to start this, so I'm kind of letting my brain catch up. I'm also checking. I'm like, is that like the biggest drop off of any team? But it might be Lexington.
Well, it's not even the biggest one in the division.
Fargo, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's true.
So,
ish. Yeah, good call. All right. I mean, we can talk players if we want. I mean, you talked a little bit about like the team that was put together, and it's definitely a tough scene. I mean, the pitching, well, the hitting was certainly not there. The pitching was also not there. So, 0 for 2 on that front.
Yeah. It's not even like it's the thing is, there's not even like there's more than 1 or 2 guys on either side of the ball that really jump out and stand out. Like, this is going to be a hard segment. There's no way around it. But like, man, I look at it and I go, Max Murphy fell off. There's no real guy that jumps out at me and says, because of him, this team wasn't as bad as it could have been. I genuinely think this was kind of the bottom of where it could have been.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably bottom end projection, I'd figure. That was the weird thing to me. Like, as you think about Max Murphy, you're like, all right, yeah, but then you look and it's like, I mean, my sort of bastardized version of OPS plus, it's at like a 109. So he was above average offensively, but like only barely. And for like a 30-year-old right fielder, you'd like a little bit more.
Yeah, but to be fair, he's also coming off a catastrophic leg injury.
Agreed.
So, I mean, like,
and that is what it is. I mean, but
he still played 99 games.
What I meant to say is, you think of him because of all that being like rock star, and you're like, even that really, like, he performed well for what his situation was, and like good. But like, if you took it and just said, hey, like, this is the star player for your offense, take the name off of it and just put the stat line up, you're like, oh, we're gonna need more than that. That's what I mean to say. That was not as much a Max Murphy commentary as it was a Winnipeg commentary.
Honestly, what it is to me is I look at Max Murphy, and we'll get to Dason Crows, who I think is really the star of this offense when we get down
Interesting.
to it.
That's a take, but I'll hear you out.
Yeah.
But continue.
But I look at Max Murphy's line and I go, you know what? This is a great like 1A to a great 1B, right? Or if this is the kind of guy that you heard, hey, you know, a team like Sioux City picked him up at the trade deadline and is going to be part of the lineup, you go, oh, that could really help a team that doesn't hit well, but pitches really strong. Like, that's what I look at. I look at him as like the like gold star deadline acquisition or the great 1A to a 1B. But if that stat line is the best that you're going to get out of your whole offense, it's tough sledding.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right about that. I mean, I'd say there's not much to add, but there is. I mean, the jarring thing is for the most part, I mean, I really have, if we're just going by league average, I think they had 2 above average hitters in my mind. Okay. You could argue 4. I would say 2. I mean, Dason Crow, sure. I didn't love the productivity beyond getting on base, if I'm honest. I mean, he had 135 hits, 115 of them were singles. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, that's sure, fine. But he's also a 23-year-old playing in this league. So.
Yes, you're going to hope he develops a little more pop as a third baseman. I think you do need that from the corner.
And he didn't really strike out at all either. 36 strikeouts in 94 games is very good.
Yes. I'll give them 4 above average offensive players, probably. I'd combine it with Bryn Martinez.
Okay, fair.
And then Miles Symington, who only played 47 games.
Okay. Any thought
beyond that, I mean...
Yeah, what about a guy like Andy Armstrong? You like him at all, or is it just not enough of I wasn't
impressed by it. I mean, look, and I got to look back at his defensive numbers. I saw him play, it didn't stand out in my head, but I can look at the numbers defensively. But like Andy Armstrong, I mean, he played a solid shortstop, which is kind of fine. Like, we're looking at the numbers there. What'd he go? He went 261, 304, 331. Now you got to get on base more than that. But if he can improve that just a little bit, then he's, you know, palatable if he's going to have a good glove up the middle.
Drake is now lost, by the way.
God, I hate everything.
I know. Life has no more meaning.
I've never had it, but we'll deal with that later. Martinez has I was not overwhelmed by Bryn Martinez's glove up the middle, so that might, you know, Andy being there kind of helps. Also, I mean, he wasn't very active on the base paths, but the team really wasn't. I mean, other than Martinez, it was just an odd ball club, right?
Yeah, like that's the thing. There's nothing that stands out.
Yeah, it's like, everything about this team, including like the stars, are all like it's like muted. It's like Max had a good year for his situation. There's always on the back end. Bryn Martinez, you know, he had a good year for a guy who needs to make more solid contact. Like, he only hit 250, but he had a good year. But on the whole, it's like in that lineup, you do need some more like output. Dason Crows had a good year for a 23-year-old. Like, there's just a lot of that right now. And look, I mean, maybe that's part of the struggle of building a winning team back up, but yeah, I don't know. I didn't really also see much of that coming together. And then obviously now hitting the reset, bringing in Logan Watkins is going to be interesting. And this isn't a preview, it's a review, but it's going to be fascinating. Andy Armstrong, though, to circle back to finish that thought, I just really wasn't extremely impressed there. I mean, again, like, see the glove, but this is a team that really could use some pop. I mean, outside, they had 49 home runs that didn't come off of Max Murphy's bat. In 100 games, 49 home runs. That's not gonna work.
That's real tough.
Yeah, dude.
Well, hold on.
And
I'm looking
Pitcher's
at
Park,
the
but
I'm looking at the
still,
baseball reference page, and I have 75 and 100.
75, but max at 26 of them.
Oh, fair.
So that's what I'm saying. If
Oh,
you take max out there, like
yeah, it's
literally
49. Yeah,
scrapping to find something. And that's
Gonzalez
where I
hit
start
8.
to crack on some of these guys where it's like, yeah, okay, like it's a good Jason Crowes did put up a good year, but if he doesn't develop that power, it's going to be an issue because you can't have one power back. Because I'm betting Max's numbers look better if he's not the only power threat in this lineup, and I'm betting he strikes out less if he's not feeling the pressure to like sweeten the bat a little bit more at these pitches that might be borderline for him. Trying to remember what their lineup looked like day to day. I feel like he certainly was not going to be very protective though, which is tough. I mean, who else really, if we're looking for it, had a power threat? I mean, Miles Symington hit 4 home runs and he had the second highest slugging on the team.
Yeah. Only
it's tough.
3 guys had 5 or more outside of Murphy.
It can't work. That is not going to work. And that's obvious. That's not contributing much. It's just saying,
yeah,
hey, there's a problem. Found it. Not a problem. Because, hold on. I'll do this too. Let's go. Oh, good Lord. It's bad everywhere.
While you're looking that up, basketball update. Sanford has closed the gap there within 3 of Kansas now.
Oh, yeah. Poppy? Need it. No, Winnipeg's not good at anything.
Yeah, pitching wise, I was going to say
I
we have to shift to the pitching side of it, and I have a lot to say on pitching.
Okay, so I'll summarize on the batting. It's just you need more, and you need guys who fit together. They don't just have flashes of it. You need guys who are more complete, and we'll talk about what they've done when we do a preview for this. But for now, that's it. I'll let you, since you already have something ready to go on pitching. I have thoughts too.
Pitching wise,
I'll follow your lead.
Yeah, pitching wise, I'm looking here, and I got to be honest. I see 3 guys, maybe 4 if we want to start getting generous. And I will say 2 of the guys I don't include in that 4. Even a few more than that. I like them as pitchers. I think they could do more in a better situation. But Sywin, Adams, and Matolovich are really the 3 guys that I look at and go, okay, these are good pitchers. They produce something, they do something. Now, granted, the bad part is 2 of those guys are relievers, and only one of them is a starter. I think maybe Luis Ramirez, you could say, all right, not terrible, although only 86 Ks and 120 innings does say something. And averaging over a hit an inning isn't great. 13 home runs against is fine, but not really.
Ramirez is one who has a lot of concerning signs for next year. It might be difficult for him to replicate. And at age 30, he's not going to probably pull much out of the bag here.
It's the kind of guy where I'm thinking if he wasn't on Winnipeg, it may have been better. Like, this may sound like a crazy statement, but I think Ramirez is a real cat, has a better year.
Interesting. Why?
Ballpark. I think the ballpark helps him more.
I don't know.
The home runs aren't as much of a problem.
Yeah, I guess. I'm just, hold on. I want to confirm something here. I felt like, if I'm honest, I felt like Winnipeg was playing oddly like more of a pitcher's park last year. Did I see that right? Let me see. Which is weird because it's Winnipeg, but
yeah.
Where? I mean, just where? I have too many Google Sheets. Just let me die in my pile of Google Sheets.
Okay.
Freaking the Google Sheets, Poppy. There we go. All right. Let's see how far off I am. Another episode of that. Okay. I've got Winnipeg. No, dude, Winnipeg leans pretty squarely pitcher's park.
Really?
More so than any in the league for the last 3 years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That is surprising to me.
Pretty wild. I know, because I think I had the same. It's stuck in my head because I thought I had the same idea going in. I was like, and I did the same. I was like, really? And I ran the numbers. I mean, a couple different ways to double check because there's some math can get weird on that kind of calculation. But yeah, I mean, it is them and Lincoln are the ones that are leaning most pitchers park lately.
That is surprising.
Gary is very slightly hitter's park these days. Despite last year, it did shy pitcher's park. Weird. Life is weird.
Well,
yeah.
even
I know.
still,
Sorry to,
I mean,
to throw a wrench in that. But I get it. I mean, Winnipeg, though, had this challenging weather for pitching for a fairly extended period of the year. That was my main thing.
I guess the weather could be a thing too, sure. But like overall, I'm just not in love with what I see. Honestly, he had to. I'm trying to look at Ramirez long term here. Let me just at the partial rows real quick. Overall, I mean, he does just seem to be like at this level. He just seems like a 4 ERA guy.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, like, if he can keep giving you that, if he can keep giving you 125 innings, he has value in and of himself, right? Where eating that many innings means something. Reliably giving you 20 starts means something. But I think there's a lot of renovation work to be done here because there really is nothing here that jumps out and says, stud player.
You're dead on. I mean, that's across. I mean, I could say you could argue, like, I would put 2 pitchers like in the like good category of like, all right, that's a guy. And then
Adam
like
Sywin, or is there someone else different?
I got Matalovich.
Okay.
And then Adames out of the pen.
Okay.
But then Barraza, RJ Martinez, good, not great. Martinez got better results than he probably deserved last year.
Okay.
Luis Ramirez, I think, is below average pretty squarely at this point. I mean,
right.
That's maybe a hot take. Travis Seabrook, I wasn't blown away.
Seabrook's
by
a guy
either.
I think could bounce back. I like him as a pitcher.
He had moments, but he's got to get control figured out. And I don't know. I haven't seen his body of work enough. Sometimes he looked better, like noticeably better than other outings. I don't know what that's about. Because some outings I felt like he would nitpick around the zone, get himself a situation, have to come in too far, didn't have the stuff he needed to, he didn't get hit. So his options basically were walk a guy, get hit, or maybe get lucky and getting out. And like other outings, he would like be missing bats and like be putting guys sort of on their heels a little bit. So I don't know. I'll maybe do a deeper look into Seabrook at some point here, because that's an interesting guy. I can't even tell you his pitch mix off the top of my head at this point, but I remember watching games and going, what's up with that guy? Because he looked like a different pitcher than I saw a week before it once or twice. So I don't know. But with that, I think, I mean, there's just not much to the pitching situation, man. There's just a lot of work to do. I mean, a lot of work. I hate to simplify it on something like that, but it is what it is. Yeah,
there's just not much here that I could see. I mean, here's the thing. I could be like generous enough to say, I think there's a decent amount of bounce back candidates here. I think there's guys that could definitely have a good 24, but there's just nothing for 23 that really tells me that like it's a safe bet.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think I'm trying to sort of think through exactly who else is on this team. Because they have Kozlowski, they've added him. He's good. I mean, again, this isn't a preview, it's a review. I'm trying to remember that. But I mean, if I'm looking at like the top 4 guys going into this year, I don't know that, like pitching wise, I don't know that any of them were on the team last year. So it's like weird. Yeah. I don't know any of the guys we talked about. I don't know. I'm not optimistic. Marshall Kozlowski could be nasty though. So keep that in mind.
Well, if we're done sandbagging on
rebuild here, you all know what that is. Like, I mean, look, it's not a surprise. I think you can ask anybody in that clubhouse, they know. And if they don't know, then there needs to be a serious reflection.
Any thoughts on the actual like staff in Winnipeg, or do you want to just move on to Lincoln?
I don't got much. Do you have anything?
I just be reiterating what we said in the past about Taggart, where I just think we're at the point where he doesn't update his game and players aren't as responsive to it, and that kind of bears itself out.
Yeah, and hopefully Logan Watkins can sort of find his way here. It's going to be a challenge, but I mean, he's dealt with a challenge before. Cleburne wasn't an easy setup, so
Yeah, have fun with that, Tri-City. Let's move on to Lincoln. Let's talk about.
That was good. I caught that.
Yeah. Lincoln, honestly, like 500 team, basically, pretty meh both ways. I don't really know what to say about them. This seems to be kind of where they're at. I think in the past we discussed, like, is Brett Jody able to kind of like manage as well with the restrictions that come in the American Association versus being in the Atlantic League? This is just another year where I feel like it just continues that conversation. Had a couple of guys that hit for power, Panis, Anderson, Rosecam. Had a couple of guys that were more, get on base type of guys. Drew Devine, I guess, is kind of in that camp there. Nate Sampson at 35 hasn't had a decent year. I mean, for a 35-year-old, very good year, actually, I would say. Perez was decent as far as getting on base, but overall, there just wasn't a lot kind of there, batting-wise and pitching-wise. I mean, they had guys dedicated as starters, but none of them were really, I don't want to say they weren't really good, but none of them were really great, right? Like, their best guys weren't throwing that many innings. And I'm looking at, like, just generally, RJ Fuhrer, I guess is how that'd be pronounced, and Borkovich. Those were good guys. Devin Cohn to a certain extent, or Colin to a certain extent, wasn't bad either, but not really a lot to go off of there. It just seems like they weren't a particularly deep team.
I mean, yeah, okay, offense, I'll start with first, because I think I do have very different feelings about Lincoln's offense versus defense. Which is funny because, I mean, their offense was middle of the pack and so was their pitching. So it just, life is weird. However,
their offense had guys.
Yeah. I mean, really, like, I think 5 guys out of their lineup, were I would say solidly above average. In fact, I mean, Luke Rostam, Zerbrug, Rogers, Panis, Anderson, all plus in the lineup guys. Honestly, I like Drew Devine for who he is as well. Played 100 games. The numbers were solid. I mean, 282, 373, 405 from a shortstop you'll definitely take. I would not change much with the lineup if I was able to keep it the same. I mean, I would put every bit of energy into what's going on with their pitching because, before I move on, sorry, like Yanyo Perez also had a good year. I liked him at first, just very little pop for a first baseman, which is strange to see. And then
Aaron Taxis was also a good, I was about to say, a good utility guy.
Right, exactly. The one that I couldn't figure out was Nate Sampson, which is tough to see, 35, played 98 games. I mean, again, maybe that's not really his role anymore. Yeah. He played good second base, like really solid second base. And I think maybe he's just more of a leader. And if that's who you're going to be, especially if you're getting good production out of Drew Devine, you don't really need Nate Sampson putting up crazy numbers, but it is tough, having a second baseman. It's not, who's well below average offensively for the league standard, but the pitching is just where throughout the year, I couldn't figure it out. I mean, it might have just been an availability thing, but I genuinely think they had one above average pitcher and then like 2 average pitchers for the league, maybe 3 for being, 3, I'll call it. And then like 5 or 6 of the other like frequently used pitchers were just below average. That's all they had. That's not a way to function, especially if you have a solid lineup, including, I mean, we just talked about 4 solid outfield pieces. Yeah. Like maybe you need to think about moving with that. And I get pitching is hard to come by, but it's just, I couldn't believe it. Like week after week, checking the transaction log, like, damn, dude, still really nothing. Like they would make moves, but it wasn't like that move. That's like, oh, now we fixed it. Right. RJ Freer, I always mess up his name, but he was gross, but he's out of the pen. 49 innings, but I mean, really good. He was fun to watch. 14.6 Ks per 9 is silly 5.2 hits per nine. Silly, dude. I loved it. That was fun. It walks people like crazy. Effectively wild as all hell. So such a good vibe. 11 wild pitches. Buddy, love it. Super into your vibes. Be interested to see where he goes career-wise here. I mean, 25 can still sling it like that. But I mean,
for a second, I was looking at Freer's numbers, and I got his walk number mixed with his home run. I was like, he didn't give 37 home runs, did he? And I was like, no, 3 walk 37. But I was like, for a second, I was like, okay, boys, so what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm afraid to look. I'm sure I have it somewhere, but I would assume we're not going to see him again, at least to start the year. Gross. 2023.
Canadian guy from Burlington.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't re-signed yet, and nothing's been announced with him, so I assume he might be popping up somewhere else potentially. So it's something to keep an eye on. But if I'm an Atlantic team, go get him. What are we talking about? Just if you can get him under control a little more work on that. But honestly, maybe not. Sometimes you guys got to be a guy who slangs it, whatever. So to the point, when you look at it, I mean, I don't need to like rag on the entire pitching staff. I would say Holmberg,
Aries,
Aries. I always go the wrong way. And Carter Hope had moments. But really, other than that, I mean, and we're talking now 2 starters and 2 relievers. When we talk about guys who are good to average or very good to average. So that's just not going to get it done. I mean, if I'm looking at just the starting pitching, Holmberg, Aries, Keenan, Roeder, Tanner Brown, and Bezdashik, that was not the move. I mean, I would categorize all of them as average to below average. You could be nice and say they have above average moments. I mean, David Holmberg definitely has moments.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good pitcher.
But we just list off a bunch of guys who are mid to back of rotation guys and like middle relief to like not like low leverage guys. And they're not being used that way. That you're looking for them to deliver number 2 starter type output. You're looking for them to deliver 8th inning output. Like that is not a well constructed roster. So hopefully they find a way to fix that here because it could be another rough year with Lincoln.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot of depth guys. There's no frontline guy.
Good call. And
that's well said. The problem. Yeah. And it's almost a situation where I feel like if you could move maybe one of those outfield pieces to get that frontline pitcher, it's a worthwhile trade.
Right. I agree.
I'm not even talking about moving like Nick Anderson type or moving the shortstop like Drew Devine. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about moving like maybe a Connor Panis, right? 30 years old, had a good year. Definitely would be a sell high type of thing. And a dude that, he did well in his first real association season. Prior to that, he really just was kind of bouncing around the Can-Am a little bit. I think he's the definition of the kind of guy where if you can move him for a good pitcher, it's a worthwhile move.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Also, can we just point out Will Kengor is here? That's a guy that bounces around and definitely feels like a Brett Joey
always
guy.
Around. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're 100% on that.
Yeah. Amazing Frontier League player, though.
Yeah, that's not wrong. I'm trying
Frontier League Hall of Famer, Will Kengor.
Oh, Chaudet.
And that 1 year in Somerset.
Winnipeg. I'm just back at Winnipeg. They did underachieve for what they're supposed to. So did Lincoln. Damn, I was looking back at their preseason projections. That's all.
Any event, getting into the playoff teams, Fargo. I feel like they're especially disappointing, right? Like, as far as the meat, I didn't write it out here. Like Winnipeg, definitely disappointing. They definitely failed to meet expectation. Lincoln, I feel like met the expectation, but just because they're expected to be about a 500 team at this stage. Fargo's a team that personally, I view it as like, okay, this is a team that's contending for championships. If there's a team in this division that can match Kansas City, it's Fargo. And they just weren't them this year. And I don't really know what happened there. Like Sam Dexter was solid, Evan Alexander was solid, Boscombe was solid, Pena was solid. And I even go like a guy like Oland was solid. And obviously for what you got at Dylan Thomas before he left was very good. Same Silviano, not the best year, but again, another guy coming off an injury. There's just a lot of pieces where I'm like, yeah, solid, but no like real jump off the page guy. I guess you could kind of call Leo Pena that guy if we're looking for somebody. But overall, batting wise, I didn't really see that. And then I look at the pitching side of things, and like Reza Alieza was solid, very good. Garrett Alexander looked all right in kind of like a more of a bullpen role, but kind of a swing role. But outside of that, it was Kevin McGovern, the ageless wonder, who's now going to Mexico. That was really pulling some weight here. Correll Prime turning into, Shohei without interpreter issues. Was, not the best, but he gave you innings. And Tyler Grauer took a step back. It just feels like, as a whole, everybody took a step back after what was a very promising year prior.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a strange one. I felt like Fargo just lacked the completion of the roster, like they've had it in a few other seasons lately. Like, I guess maybe I felt that more on the pitching side now that I'm really breaking it down in my head. But like Colton Davis, Davis Feldman, Reza Aliezas, Kevin McGovern, like great, fantastic, like plus arms in this league. And then everyone else, I have, Tyler Grauer, who's about an average arm last year, and then basically below average pitching from there. Like that's a hard fall off. And that's a fall off that will keep you above, Winnipeg and Lincoln and Gary. But it's not one that's really going to get you competing with the big dogs anymore. And especially when it's a team as well built as Kansas City is, it's just not going to work. And I don't know what went wrong. It didn't feel very Chris Coast-y, and I'm wondering if his focus was there or what he was running into. There's some questions there. It's fascinating because I think very highly of Coast. And
yeah,
it was, I mean, on a personal level, as somebody who admires his work, I was a little disappointed to see it. But that was a team that did keep grinding. They kept having transactions come through. Like they did seem like they were really trying. And not that everyone isn't, but like, you know what I mean? They were aware. It was just they weren't finding solutions. I think that's, that is how it goes sometimes. It's baseball. It's a damn nightmare.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like there's some guys here that got into a handful of innings like Davis Feldman, who I think was good in his 4 starts. Right. A guy like Colton Davis, who in his 46 innings looked good, but that's just not enough. I mean, between two guys again, essentially 70 innings, you need more than that, right?
Like, well, and that actually is a good point, because if we look at the guys that I would categorize as above average for the league, this is really where they start to run into issues. And that's where the depth thing that I started to bring up there really comes into be an issue. So on the offensive side, you have, I would call the above average, like solidly above average guys: Dylan Thomas, Scott Schreiber, Evan Alexander, John Silviano, and Leobaldo Pena. Silviano, and Schreiber both were under 40 and 50 games respectively. Dylan Thomas played 50 games, 56. So 2 of their 5 played a full season. And when it comes to like their offensive leaders, when you look at the pitching side, their leaders, their best 2 pitchers, Colton Davis and Davis Feldman, both made what they were. Colton Davis had 9 appearances, 5 starts. Davis Feldman had 4 starts. And then Aliezas had a full season, so did McGovern. So 2 of their above average players, only 4 of them, 2 on offense, 2 on the pitching side, played a full season.
Can't win like that.
Tough, dude. And it's a depth question. And look, like, I mean, things happen. I'm going to be honest, just transparent moment. I watched a lot of baseball this year, struggling a little bit to remember why the seasons were shortened, whether it was injury or roster moves or,
in the case of Silviano, I know that one was injury.
Okay.
Schreiber, I do not recall. I could probably find that out. And
I'm
same
working
thing
it now.
with
He was signed in July.
Okay, that's for Schreiber.
Yep, Schreiber signed in July. That's right. Because I was like, I still see his name, so that makes sense because he's still around. That's right. He was a late ad. I feel like his name came up so often. I was like, there's no way he was a mid-season addition. No, he was just active. Silviano was inactive for a large chunk of the year.
Yeah, I think it was a leg injury, if I'm not mistaken.
On the pitching side,
let's see.
Colton Davis was a mid-season signing.
Okay, Davis Feldman.
And that's what I mean, by the way. Something to be encouraged with is that their best players were mid-season signings. It's huge. That's not something that you find everywhere. And that's a good sign for Coast, like being able to work connections on the fly like that and make sure guys are coming to him.
And Feldman looks like similar, but yeah, he was a September edition. He spent most of the. He was there in May, and then he went to Toronto.
Yeah. Yes. So there. I mean, look, he's back too. So that's a good sign for the year moving forward. Not this a preview; it's a review, but I think I would feel fairly positive about Fargo as long as they can get that depth fixed up a little bit. Because before you know it, you'll end up in the same damn spot like Gastonia dealt with, where they lost an entire lineup. Just guys getting signed, and hell, High Point had it happen too. Like, we're talking top. If you want to be one of the top teams, you're going to deal with top team problems.
Yeah, and Burlingmeyer also kind of similar boat, right? Where didn't get many games in there, and I think a lot of the issue is you have some guys that came in and they were expected to be in one role, and then their role got bumped up, and they're just not fit for that role, which again is a depth issue. But when you have guys playing out of their role, it's not going to end well.
Yes, that's fair. You're right.
All right, going to Sioux Falls, I definitely would put them in the overachieving role. I mean, hell, you bump up your record by what? Nearly 20 wins, and I don't know how you could see that as being anything other than a positive, right? That's a huge, 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 huge improvement. And I am looking here, and a guy like Darnell Sweeney, obviously huge, but there's a lot of power in this lineup. Like Mike Hart did well, Hunter Clannon did well, Jordan Barth did well, Jabari Henry always does well. Really Mike Hart, an underrated dude. I'm looking at his numbers right now, and it's actually really solid for him. Wyatt Ulrich is a dude that still produces. He's not as good as he was.
Remember ballpark.
Yeah, fair.
But I have a note on that, so we'll get to it. But so what I'll say is pump up whoever you want, because I got follow up there.
All right. And then pitching wise, I'm looking at it here. Bullpen wise, definitely Charlie Hasty. Yeah,
gross.
Definitely him. And Brady Stover are the two names that immediately jump out at me. Those two, solid. That's kind of how I'm looking at this.
Sioux Falls problems, dude. Like the tracks. I mean, I can also hop in here. I mean, I would say hold on. I was just checking something. Yeah. So Sioux Falls, actually, I'm just looking back at last year's projections. I'm usually within, call it 3 or 4 games of the record projection. Sioux Falls was I think, biggest improvement over my projection for them. I think by 13.3 games, they were over. It's pretty impressive.
You produced. Okay. They did what they had to. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sioux Falls, here ballpark for sure. When you're looking at them, we were just talking about park factors. Sioux Falls is playing, at a ridiculous. It's like 22%. Well, not 22%. That's not a clean way to explain that. It's 122 if 100 is average. And that's over multiple seasons. And it's getting more hitter friendly. Essentially, it's a little more back to normal-ish 2023 is freaking crazy. No, I can't even say that. 2023 was wild. It was the most hitter-friendly year in the park. It was wild. I hate to just keep saying it that way, but it was. But it was wild. It forced me to check that math. So you view like Coors factor. You view every hitter with some suspicion coming out of there. With that said, when I adjust numbers to league average, adjusting for park factor and all that, I still have 8 guys offensively above league average. I got Wellington Dotel, Wyatt Ulrich, Jordan Barth, Hunter Clannon, Trevor Achenbach, Darnell Sweeney, Jabari Henry, Mike Hart, all above average. Mike Hart's number is hard to, I am sitting around a 210 OPS plus, something like that, which is hundreds average. He's 210. Dumb. What are we talking about here? 26 homers in 85 games. Like, dude, yeah, get after it. That's a 50 homer season over 164, basically. 88 hits, 26 of them were home runs. Excuse me? Yeah, like he just murders baseballs. He's going to be fun to watch. 28 hit by pitches for him too. Dog. Love it. Grind. Shout out grind set. I'm just doing a quick check. Okay, disconnected from the server. Very cool. Anyway, I'll circle back on that. There we go. Hart will probably take a step back. I don't see a way that Hart puts up the same numbers this year, but I don't know.
If he starts off the season doing, no, he's 29.
I digress. I would say that.
He would stick around, but 29, I don't know about that.
Talk about an old roster, by the way. I mean, that's crazy about it. But like Martinez is 35, Wellington Dotel 37, 29 Achenbach, 32 Darnell, 32 Jabari Henry, 29 Mike Hart. That was just last year's numbers. Even Clannon's 27, going on 28. To the point though, I think that is what you see on the offense and what you see on the pitching side is the same phenomena of you have the reputation of being a hitter's park, and it creates more of a hitter's park, or at least a hitter team, because hitters, I saw it with Jersey as well. If batters want to come there, pitchers don't. So I think you do get a lot of above average hitters because they want to hit the ball around Sioux Falls, and you don't get a lot of pitchers. I mean, I have, other than Charlie Hasty, who was very, very good, I don't have anybody else in that pitching staff at league average, frankly. I mean, Akeem Bostic, maybe. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. And that is, I mean, if you look at it, really looking at the starters, like guys who made more starts than relief appearances, which is loose way to track it, but sure. I mean, we're looking at a 6.28 ERA, a 6.23, a 6.1, a 4.65, a 5.02, and a 5.03. Now that won't work, boys. That ain't gonna work at all. And I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know how to fix that for them. I think it might just be who they are, and you need to maybe get some younger guys you feel like you can develop. And they really, I mean, this sounds stupid common sense, but they need to start finding, and I'm sure they're already looking for it. I'm not saying anyone's dumb here. I'm sure they know what they're doing, but just got to keep the focus on guys who keep the ball down. It's just, they're giving up so many home runs. Yeah. They can say it's a home run friendly park, but they're giving up more home runs than they're having hit. And we already said their offense is good. They gotta keep it in the yard, man. It's just, I don't know what else to say. It's when I
do want to point one thing out here. After the 26 home run season, I'm pretty sure that, at least according to the media guide, Mike Hart is top 5 for home runs.
I can see it.
Yeah, because I'm looking here, 92 Abercrombie, 90 Mazzola, 61 Martin, Max Murphy at 44, and then Hather at 34. I have Hart at 55. Now, of course, it depends on what guys like Henry and Altman and Murphy all did. You know, you got to add all those in. But if he's not top 5, he's pushing it. Just a little off-topic thing.
No, I follow.
Yeah,
I wasn't really going anywhere anyway with that. It's just that, if you're looking, even if you adjust, so if I'm adjusting the numbers to what the ballpark, even taking the ballpark into account, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
That I would say probably, definitely Akeem Bostic, Neil Lang, Ty Culbreth, Chris Harden, and I'd argue Walters and Miller all were still giving up too many home runs. I mean, it's gotta be guys. I would build, if you get a strikeout guy, you get a strikeout guy, but I would build guys that are just ball down, late sink guys and just try to keep the ball in the park and just start cutting into the runs being given up that way. Because you're not going to get the overpowering guys. Those guys are not going to choose to come to Sioux Falls very often. You're going to have to look for guys who are overlooked because they don't have our overpowering stuff, but you can find these nuggets of dudes who can sling the ball and create some havoc, and maybe the ball's in play, but at least, if you have some good fielders behind you, which I don't think Sioux Falls stood out as being bad. I would
honestly,
say,
if I was them, I would just take the approach of screw the pitching, let's go all in on batting and see what we could do there.
But did they not just do that? Well, maybe it worked. To be fair, they overachieved and they made the playoffs. So
that's the thing. Like, I'm looking at it here, and I'm like, I think you could just do that again. Now, how much you want to put stock in guys like a 35-year-old, a couple of 39-year-olds, some 32-year-olds, all reproducing the same years? I don't know how much you want to do that, but it feels like that's the way to go forward on it, because you're not going to be able to get that kind of pitcher that you need to succeed there, and they're still going to get hit around. And is that kind of style of pitching going to travel?
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean, hey, see, I don't know. I think it does. Ball down travels. We're not talking about. It's more. You worry more about the travel side. If you have a guy who, he records a lot of outs, but, he's a fly ball heavy guy, you worry more if he goes on the road all of a sudden. If you're in a pitcher friendly park and you go elsewhere and it's not as pitcher friendly, they could be in trouble. I don't worry as much about taking a guy out of a park like the Birdcage if he's a ground ball pitcher. Ground ball pitchers are typically ground ball pitchers. I mean, if you might run into some arm wear though, and then guys start elevating, it gets a little interesting, but I don't know. It's concerning. By the way, this is underrated. Good work. The Sioux Falls had good work on the bases this year, which I like. It's easy to get conservative and sit back for the long ball, especially at home, especially with a powerful team, but like they kept pressure on. They didn't, Milwaukee stole more bases, but the stolen base rate was good on Sioux Falls. Like, you want to be over 70, 75%. They were sitting over like 82, 83%. That's good. I like that they were continuing to keep pressure on. That's important. I think that's going to be necessary if you're especially if the pitching's on a struggle, just keep pushing runs.
All right, let's move on to the other Sioux City, Sioux City. So that way we can keep things moving here.
The Sioux are so good.
All right, Explorers. Solomon Bates is the first guy you got to talk about when you're talking about Explorers, right? Because he is just an electric pitcher.
I mean, yes. Yeah, I'm just looking at the stat line again. What's funny? He wasn't really the guy that I guess because he's a starter and the numbers he put up out of, while covering 126 innings is pretty impressive. Like, I'm not going to take that away.
Yeah. And for a large chunk of the year, he was just like mowing guys down. I think it just kind of like over time it got to him. But overall, yeah. I do think this whole Sioux City rotation is pretty good. Bates, Drury, Verberg, and Weatherby. That's pretty solid. Even Sheik's 2 starts weren't bad. If you're fifth, if you're 4 or 5 is, at the ERAs they had, that's not bad. This is not a bad rotation at all.
Yeah. I'm trying to think piece of that through. Yeah. I remember that it stood out to me how good this rotation was when I did the playoff projections. Because when I do a playoff projection, I'll do the projected starter versus projected starter, and there was so little drop off from start front end to back end, and it was so it was at every position in the rotation when I lined it up to other teams. I was like, damn, they really are good. And I think that's because part of it was they're pretty quiet about it. Even Solomon Bates, he'd have some really good outings and it would get blown up on socials a little bit. But I don't know, Verberg, Drury, and Toplicar, they didn't really make a lot of noise with it. It was just good control for the most part, especially top of the card, but it just kind of working through lineups. They were just tough matchups, and I liked what they were doing a lot of the time. And it was sort of a complete rotation. Sorry, that was not an interesting thought, but it was just verbalizing. Like, I remember seeing that while I was doing the playoff projection. Like, oh my God, yeah. Like, I get now how this is all fitting together. I looking at Hassler and Rakowski, trying to hear out their deals.
Those were two guys mentioned.
Wondering if Rakowski's going to come back. I don't think Hassler is just my vibe, but it sucks because they're really good. When you were talking about someone electric,
you're ready for Hassler?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. He was so fun to watch. But
he's
Hassler,
been good for a while.
Yeah, but he also had, I don't know where, I know he was inactive listed. So that's where I'm kind of like, so he was inactive listed in August. I'm trying to remember the exact, he was removed from the injured list, put on the inactive list. And that was, so basically half the year. So who knows what's going on there, but
yeah.
But it's even more impressive when he didn't pitch past July and he put up some
I'm looking at all of these numbers, man.
Also, 28 innings.
Are great.
I know. I hope he's all right. I should check in on that. I hope I hope he's on wild.
Yeah.
But you also think about it,
the way he throws. The thing is too, he's mostly a middle reliever. Like, he's not being used as a traditional closer. He finishes some games, don't get me wrong, 9 of the 28 he showed up in, but like, he's just like the reliable. You know what he is? He's the American Association Tyler Clippard.
Fair. 59 Ks in 37 innings. Very nice. Very nice to have.
It is. It really is. This guy's really endearing himself to me.
I'm like stalking him now. Where's he at? I'm looking for. No whammy on the TJs. No Sproing. Nothing went Sproing. Tell me we're all good.
He's about to hit him up and send him a DM saying, "You up?"
Big dog elbow ? That's all it says. Sproing ? He's out hunting. That was in December. Well, he's out hunting in December. So hold on.
I mean, yeah. So it's December. His arm's probably decent.
He was in Mexico in the offseason throwing, so he's good. No elbow Sproing.
All right.
No Sproing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrap up the. Let's keep her going on the pitching side.
My bad.
Yeah. No, I just want to make sure we're still moving time wise. Yeah.
Yeah. Those three. I would say Brandon Bosch. I really liked Mitchell Verberg. I liked. I would put. I would put Drury and Toplicar in the above average category as well. Maybe average to above average, depending on the day. They struggled with some consistency, but they definitely had the stuff to be above average. Tokar's not even that, sketchy, covered some starts too, which is nice. Ate some innings, which is cool. Yeah. Offense though. What do you think?
Offense, here's the thing. Like, it's obviously Matt Lloyd and Vince Fernandez. That's pretty much it. I mean, if you want to talk about a lot of guys who stuck
around for part of the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we want to talk about
Oda, Rando.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to talk about 34 games with John Degowski, we can, but that's not it. Chairs Harris, I'm willing to give a pass to because, he's a tremendous center fielder. So,
right.
When you have that kind of glove, I can live with it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, it's I don't know. Jimenez, 32, I kind of want him to do a little bit better than he did.
Right.
Danny Perez is not great. Ortega would have liked more for a dude that played 70 games.
Yeah, but from a catcher, he was about league average, man. I'll take that.
Fair. Sierra, though.
Yeah.
Even Delvin Zim is kind of hey. I get it, you steal a lot of bags and you don't really get caught, but you don't hit for much and you don't really walk much and you kind of strike out a little bit for everything else considered. What else do you do here? Tyler Rando's okay.
You do here?
Yeah.
It's kind of
When they brought in Lingao, he did well for his 10 games there, but that was a deadline pickup when Gary was going full seller mode. So I don't really know if they're going.
Forgot about that, honestly. I forgot that happened.
Yeah, no, I remember. I was like, wow, we actually
Lord.
have deadline movement. This is fun.
This is fun.
Yeah, I was like, it's fun for me. It's not my life that's being uprooted.
I mean, honestly, a lot of those guys want to go anyway, so
Yeah.
I don't even feel bad for the players in the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some
hit
guys.
17 times, dude. What the hell?
Bro, there were some outliers. I want to do a deep dive. There were some wild ones on like hit by pitch numbers in indie leagues in particular.
Bro, step
I think it's
away
just
from the
dudes-
plate.
There's some dude just rock on that. Dude, Mike, what are we talking about? Mike Hart went 28.
Boys,
That's
you can take a
absurd,
half
man.
step back.
I mean, that's. Oh no. Do. Yeah, Mike Hart got hit 7.5% of the time he went up. Pardon me?
Poor bastard.
Settle down. Yeah, man. He's got some heart. See what I did there. Bada bing. So stupid. You
Do
know,
I have to tap the sign?
Don't tap the sign. I got it. Yes, sir. Oh
God.
man.
It's even funnier because no one can see the sign.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts on Sioux City before we get to the thing I think everyone wants us to talk about?
I don't think so.
Vince Fernandez thoughts, perhaps?
Not really. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Not for this situation.
All right. So then we can talk about Kansas City.
Yeah, man. Let's get after it.
Now we actually do have to talk about Chris Herman because he had a year.
Yeah. I don't know. Wait, I don't know. Sorry, now you have me on the Vince Fernandez thing. I don't know. No one blow off Vince Fernandez. I mean, this is what it is, you know? Like, God, I hate when you do that. You like hit me off, like, you know, no thoughts on that. I'm like, not necessarily, but like, sure, kind of. I don't know. From a right fielder, you need, I don't know, I need to see more than, you know, a 246, 359, 436, you know, on a playoff team. It's just, sorry, it is what it is. No disrespect. It's just, it's not
just like,
a long-term solution here.
Vince, let me translate what he just said. He said you're a terrible ball player and you should consider bagging groceries instead.
I think what I actually
you're a great ball
was,
player, but
he's a bad person.
Oh, I'll put it up.
Interesting. Sorry, I just realized. I just finally checked my math on how far off I was on projections this year. 3.5 games per team. Not bad. I'm okay with that.
So
I don't know what the
Kansas City-
standard is. I should know that. Yeah, man. I mean,
a lot of
where to
former major
begin?
leaguers.
Where to
and-
begin? Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, here, like obviously, there's a lot of guys: Herman, Wiley, Adolfo, Jan Hernandez, Gavin Collins. Although most of those are not former major leaguers, and I almost feel like the long-term minor league guys did better.
Let me think.
I have a lot of thoughts on the pitching too, but I'm going to save the pitching for now.
Yeah, I'm just doing the comparison on like who
I'll
got
take
that
catch,
major league
too.
time and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Herman,
Robson,
Herman-
O'Grady, Herrera, Brockton, Whitefield, Fargas, Rossman, all on the pitching side.
Okay. I mean, I was looking, as I said, more offense, like you said, rather.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like their top 3 hitters have MLB experience.
Wait, who are the other
Dang.
two? Because obviously Herman, but who are the other two you're looking at?
I'm looking at, I guess it's debatable. That's right. I just said that like a fact. In my head, the top 3 I was looking at, Robson and also Fargas, but he wasn't around very long.
See, Fargas 27 games. I'm not even considering that.
Yeah, I feel you. That's fair.
Robson, I'm willing to entertain, but I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm looking at him here and I'm thinking, like, I'd rather have either Wiley or Hernandez or even Adolfo, to be quite honest with you. I'm liking what they did a little bit better. Like Robson, 84
Because you like batting average.
fair, but even still, okay, look at OPS.
No, I mean, I'll give you that. I mean, I'm looking also at like 23 steals. So, I mean, he hit, I mean, that's,
All right,
I mean,
well,
how many
Wiley had
times did he get
16.
first? Yeah, but Wiley did it in 91 games and got called 8 times. So he's getting thrown out 1 out of every 3 attempts.
Fair point.
I'm just saying, and look, I'm open to this conversation. I like Wiley actually quite a bit. I think they're nearly the number I have on OPS plus is I have Robson at 140.1. I have 139.5 for Wiley, virtually identical. And so a little lesson time. Ryan calculates not for like putting out their use, but like for my like use for trying to get an idea of like where all these guys fit within the massive chunk of these indie leagues and teams. I kind of calculate my own OPS plus, which is again the OPS with park factors, but I always add in on top of, you know, the slugging percentage. I also add an extra base for every steal and subtract every caught stealing. So like that kind of takes into account like that, like when I include stolen bases and caught stealings, I basically have Robson and Wiley's contributions being basically identical while they were on the team. Obviously Wiley was there for longer and was able to contribute more in a bulk fashion. No, I'm not going to sit here and say anything about Justin Wiley. I think he's very good, but I understand what you're saying on Robson. I think you're a little focused on the batting average side. I understand the OPS wasn't impressive, but when you consider he reached first probably about 90 times and 23 of them, he just basically made it a double. That's kind of sweet. And that starts to add up.
I mean, I'll even compare him to Adolfo, only got 11 more games in there. And I still feel like they kind of match there. More bases, more hits, more power. I'll give you speed.
Follow you there. I like Adolfo. I just don't know if I can follow you there.
And more home runs. And
as we debate through like the best lineup in
10 doubles.
Maybe indie ball. Odubel, by the way, still had above average for the league too. Just, you know, wasn't what people were looking for. No power, which, I mean, he wasn't a power guy to begin with, but good Lord. Okay, the offense is nasty. Like, I mean, like, there's a lot to be had here.
There's
a lot to say. I mean, if you're looking at center field split between Robson and Vargas, great. Herman behind the dish, nasty. Embarrassment of riches for the catcher position, especially when you look at Gavin Collins, by the way, also great.
Yeah.
Hernandez at first, that works. You like to see, 15 home runs out. That guy is great. Keon Broxton covers it in the outfield. Justin Wiley looked good in Keon was a small stint. Justin Wiley, as you said, covered 91 games. That, I mean, across the board, looks good. Even LJ Hatch, he didn't put up impressive offensive numbers, but I mean,
he's in 95 games, so it gives you something.
95 games, and he's, a solid glove there. Had moments. That's debatable if not, but my thing, it hit me a lot was I was not blown away by the pitching side with Kansas City.
That's what I was going to say. Final thought I just want to put out there on the offense. Imagine how much fun it would have been if they would have went out and got Altman from Chicago.
I know, right? Oh my gosh.
Just been like
a spot too. Really, the only position that was below average offensively.
Exactly.
So and here's Altman.
Yeah, and like the thing is too, I feel like you could have moved out a guy that you have on this roster, maybe LJ Hatch plus a pitcher, and like there's not much I was about to discuss on the pitching side you can afford to give up there, but like if you add Altman to that lineup too, oh my god.
It's rude. I know. It would be a lot of fun.
Just like unbelievable. Basically an all-star lineup every night. God. But yeah, no, pitching wise, I think there's some bullpen guys I like, but there's not much in the way of starting pitching I really like. Jalen Miller's all right, but everybody else is just like there's a lot of number 4 pitchers in this rotation.
Yeah, so okay, I like that. That's well said. I mean, I like Grant Gavin, great. Trey Jeans, great. Jordan Martinson, great. Let's get that out of the way. Done. Now, if we look at the rotation, I think Dalton Motes is a good to average rotation piece. Same with Jalen Miller.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about the team that's like running the league, I would not expect 3. I'll give Brandon Finnegan. He has days where he's good to average, but I wouldn't expect 2 to 3 of the 5 starting pitchers to be like below average to average. That's kind of jarring.
Yeah, it's not really an overpowering thing. And also, I mean, like we're talking Miller up a little bit, but I mean, the walks are also a little bit of an issue here too.
I mean, he's got to get a figure. I mean, okay. So like Jalen Miller, he needs that figured out. There were multiple outings last year. I was like, what are we doing here? Like,
I mean, 60 walks to like 80 strikeouts is not exactly the skew I want to be with.
Sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like, and Matt's in similar boat here too. I mean, he's like, for every 1 walk is 2 strikeouts. So, I mean, better, but still like 45 walks is a lot of walks.
And cards on the table, by the way, I worked with Jalen in Lexington. I signed Jalen when we were there. We saw him. We weren't sure where we were going to fit him, but we liked him. So just pointing out, personal relationship is involved here, but like, I do genuinely really like Jalen Miller's stuff, but like at a certain point, like this control issue is you're 30. It has to. I mean, it is not what it was. And good Lord, the beginning of his career was a debacle at times. Like that was, I mean, he couldn't stick because he just was getting too far out there. But like, I mean, he figured something out in Chicago in 2020, short stint, obviously 2020, and then carried that in Sussex. And then Lexington and Kansas City, he just lost it in 2021. And I'm not sure exactly, or 2022 rather. Yeah. I don't know what exactly it was, but whatever he tapped into is gone. Now, the big concern is that while he was walking people in Lexington and Kansas City, he was striking out 10 or 11 guys per 9. Yeah. The big worry right now is while he did have a good ERA, by the way, 3.64, take that, 100 innings, 10-2 record, but 7 strikeouts per 9. And sure, maybe it's just he's pitching smarter, getting into contact more. I'm open to that conversation. I haven't broke down the pitch mix that way, but I sit there and look at 5.5 walks per 9. It's just, you can't Blake Snell this. And if I'm honest, I'm looking at his winter league numbers. We're talking more of the same, probably 7 or 8 walks per 9. He's striking out 13 per 9. Cool. But I mean, I got to assume it's going to be more the same. This isn't previewing, it's reviewing. I'll back off it. But sorry, Jalen Miller pisses me off.
There's potential here. It's just that like the walks are getting in the way.
It's potential, and he's done it. And that is where I'll start getting my frustration of only being there for 6 days of the damn season in Lexington. Because like that is something I wish we had more time to work with. Like I could have worked on and pulled the data on and started to really dig in and see what switch is no longer, in the right direction here. I don't know. Maybe he did find something on pitching to contact, but the walk rate continuing to stay up does not suggest that. Weird, man. I don't know. Here's what I want to say. Okay. Yeah. Do you think this is as is? If they ran this back, think that's sustainable? The mix of pitchers with that high powered offense? Do you think? Or do you think they kind of got away with one this time around?
In theory, I think it is because they've, had success with it. It's just
you're like, obviously, yeah.
I mean, like, enough. Yeah, I mean,
that
like,
was a dumb question.
Like that's the thing. Like on one hand, like,
do you think they could win? Well, Ryan,
I mean, like they already did, but yeah, like I see what you're saying. Like when you're quite clearly the MVP of your team and of the league is a 35-year-old catcher that probably doesn't want to run it back again. You're taking 23 home runs off the board. You're taking 72 runs off the board. You're taking an OPS of over 1,000 off the board. You're taking over 200 bases off the board. That's a big difference there off the bat. Everybody also gets a year older. And so like our kind of consensus best hitters are now looking at 27, not that bad. 27, not that bad. 29, okay, on the edge. 29, on the edge. And then you start getting into like 32. Keon Broxton's a guy that's 36. Does he want to do that again? Like,
right.
And it becomes filling in those gaps, right? So I don't know if you can have that same kind of depth. And that's really what it comes down to. They can get away with it because you look at like the first 6 to 7 spots in that lineup, and you're like, oh yeah, no, these guys can hit, they can steal bases, and they're going to get on base, and they can do an awful lot of damage. And as we saw in several postseason games, I think mainly the Sioux City series, if we want to get down to it, they just have explosive innings where they'll tag you for 8 runs, and that's that. And then there's no real coming back from, a game that's now 10-5. It's like, okay, well, we got to find 5 runs in 3 innings. That's a tough order. So to answer the question, I don't really think so, because if you lose that depth and now say only the first 4 spots are really dangerous, it's like, okay, just avoid that blow up inning, right? Because now it's like, if we just get 2 of those guys out, which, you're going to most of the time, you just got to get one of the next 2 out. And even if you don't, okay, 2 guys are on. Focus on getting one of the weaker hitters to ground into something.
Letting go 1 run every 2 innings isn't the end of the world.
Exactly. You can survive. If they're putting up 4 runs, 5 runs a game, it's not ideal, but against some explosive offenses, yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically below the average scoring rate, honestly. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's an oversimplification, but yeah, I agree. And you know what occurred to me while we were talking about this, and hear me out, I could be wrong, but I'm going to put it out there in the world, and I can look dumb publicly. That's okay. Been there, done that. Kansas City, this modern iteration of Kansas City, they roster build like the Long Island Ducks. Major league guys. Offense. Now, last year's Long Island offense was a little weird and spotty, but it is generally high-powered, dangerous offense, major leaguers, and then whatever pitching is left and they can find. And sometimes it's thrown in a young guy who doesn't belong. Sometimes it's thrown in a genuine dog who's a problem for everybody he faces. But I feel like, it creates this weird, unbalanced, not necessarily complete roster that could still go all the way for sure. But if you end up in the wrong matchup, you get exposed pretty bad.
I'd agree with that. I think less so in past years than currently.
I agree. I think it's going that direction, which I think is interesting. More that it's an evolving potential trend, I guess.
Yeah, because I think in the past too, a lot of the guys they had, like even just depth bullpen pieces, were better than that. But like I look at the 21 team, and there's definitely some really good pieces there, but it's not the same level. And in 22, realistically, both of those other years they had Matt Hall, and this year they didn't have Matt Hall or a substitute for him. Fair. And when you have a guy that's going to give you 14 starts and have an ERA just barely north of 1, yeah, that's going to work. Yeah, I'd say so. Even though I will say, I do kind of hold 82 innings against him in that one season versus a guy like, I think I went McGovern on that one, where I was like, McGovern's still like, he's in the 2s and he threw like damn near 50 more innings. So like, I think that should count for something, but even still, I mean, you can't be upset with a 1.1 guy getting rewarded. But yeah, I think I definitely would agree that it's trending that way. And it's been less than that in past years, but this year they went hard in that direction.
Yeah, interesting. It'll be interesting to see if this is something that works in the American Association better than the Atlantic League, because the American, you are operating within the roster rules. So, like you can be the Long Island Ducks and stack your team with major leaguers and still go up against multiple major leaguers in a, series. And all of a sudden the advantage is being limited. So something to watch.
Yeah. I realized I didn't mention it for the last team. Sioux City, I'd say, exceeded expectation from last year, and then I'd say Kansas City met. I just didn't really think that much about Sioux City coming into the year. I wasn't too high on them. So the fact they were the second best team in the division kind of exceeded it to me. And the fact they really did put a scare in Kansas City in that series against them. Yeah, I think that means something too. And there was also, keep in mind, that was the game 5 with the questionable officiating. So. As I believe I tweeted out that night, I was like, "Ooh, Josh Schaub's gonna have a fun phone call tomorrow."
That's right. Oh my god!
I think he may have even liked that tweet too,
because he was like, "Oh, I know this." The transparency.
Yeah. So, I
do we have anything else left to say about the American Association West, or are we at the point where we could wrap it? Because this went longer than I thought. So
I know it did. We had more to say. I always have more to say. That's okay. I don't shut up. I get it.
So
Yeah, casual agreement. Nice. Love that from you.
I mean, like, am I going to really dispute that fact?
Fair enough. I wouldn't. The people are listening.
They're in the walls.
Oh my god. I don't
So-
know, man. I think we're good.
All right, cool. So
What do we got,
next
Frontier League
week,
next week.
yep. So next week, Pioneer League.
Oh, that's gonna take forever. Good lord. We're gonna need to put a timer on ourselves.
Well, see, the reason why I think we do Pioneer League next week is because we have a Pioneer League guest.
Ah, yes. Good call. Good call.
We have Billy Horton on the show, the manager for the YOLO High Wheelers.
We said Pioneer League. Good lord, I do not listen. It's late.
You thought I said Frontier.
I did. I already
I
had
really
it in my
thought
head.
we were going to do
Frontier
16
Pioneer.
teams in 1 week.
No, I thought we were gonna split it, but I was still like, are we doing the whole? So we're doing a whole Pioneer?
We might as well combine it, otherwise, time wise.
Okay. You're weird.
Because what? It's 12
Nice party.
teams, right?
Yeah, I can cover it. Well, no,
10.
10.
10. Yeah,
Yeah.
10's not
Yeah.
bad.
Light work. Light work.
Yeah, it's
We're
easy.
fine.
Besides, it's the Pioneer League. How much could we possibly have to say on the Pioneer League?
Good lord. So screwed. I regret
So
the
we're
hell
looking
out
forward to
of it.
having Billy on.
All right. By the way, it's going to be the biggest one we do now because every other one's cut into divisions. Oh, we're so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're having Billy on. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so that'll be good. And hopefully we don't have too much in the way of Chicago update and news to get to. Otherwise, that could be a fun one to do. Let's get the plugs and let's get out of here. It's 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's fair. Indie Ball Nation on whatever. Got some preseason stuff actually happening. Preseason work starts tomorrow. I'm very excited about it. And by excited, I mean, yeah, I'll see.
It's exciting and terrifying.
Yeah, just tired as hell. Ah, man. If only.
Well, don't worry. If you like to work in
full-time job.
baseball, I'm sure you'll have more time,
God, what have I done? What have I done?
I mean, you can beat yourself with one of those bats behind you.
And they're all broken too, so sharp. So it's get a little wild.
Yeah, you go
I
ahead.
got a
and
Ken
aim
Harvey
right
bat.
to the side of
Shout
the net.
Ken Harvey, by the way.
Jesus Christ.
All-Star game. Made an All-Star game. One of the all-time
Fun fact for you, you
WTF
can buy a
All-Stars.
Shoresy jersey off at DH Gate for about $12.
Good lord. I don't know if I necessarily need that in my life.
Indie Ball Report everywhere except for Twitter. That's Indie Ball Pod. That's my plug for you.
Nice.
But I'd
Noise.
recommend watching Shogun. Very good show. Really recommend Shogun.
The Shogun Show.
On FX Tuesday nights and at midnight on Wednesday. It goes up on Hulu. That's when I watch. And all I will say about last week's episode, if you thought Sal Vitro from The Sopranos had a rough gig as a gardener, let me tell you, the gardener that we saw for this week's episode had it considerably worse.
I don't know what to do with that. Just gonna
Well,
nod
if you
and
watch
agree, baby.
Shogun, then we'd have this discussion, but you don't.
I'm
So.
busy, bro. Preseason chaos. Crying, screaming. The usual.
Well, then we'll leave you to it. And until next time, don't forget to play ball.